Welcome to the Memory Scope channel. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out more videos like this one. My Lai Vietnam 1968 American soldiers interrogate an elderly man and 2 children during a routine patrol. Photographer Ronald Heberly captured this moment before moving on, unaware that these civilians would shortly become victims of the infamous massacre. Tehran, 1979, on International Women's Day, over 100,000 women flood the streets to protest the new Islamic government's decree regarding compulsory hijabs. This massive demonstration marked a final moment of freedom before strict dress codes were enforced. Tehran, 1953, Western intelligence agencies orchestrate a coup to overthrow the democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh by reinstalling the Shah. The CIA and MI6 secured access to the nation's oil reserves for Western companies, altering Middle Eastern history. St. George, Utah, 1954. John Wayne films The Conqueror just miles from a nuclear test site. Within years, nearly half the cast and crew, including Wayne himself, would develop cancer, making this production one of the deadliest in Hollywood history. Mississippi, 2005, Moses Hardy, the son of former slaves and the last African-American World War I veteran, receives the French Legion of Honor after surviving mustard gas in the trenches of France. He lived to be 113 years old. Wieliczka, Poland, 1970s. Patients relax in a sanatorium located deep underground within a salt mine. The unique microclimate of the saline caverns was believed to cure respiratory ailments, turning this industrial site into a subterranean health resort. Tokyo, 1960, in a shocking live broadcast, teenage ultra-nationalist Otoya Yamaguchi rushes the stage with a sword to assassinate socialist leader Inejiro Asanuma. The photograph of this violent collision captured the intense political turbulence of post-war Japan. Japan, 1870s. This rare photograph depicts an Onabu geisha, a female warrior belonging to the upper samurai class trained in martial arts and weaponry. These women stood ready to defend their households and honor during the final days of the feudal era. Transylvania, Louisiana, 1939. A sharecropper mother points to numbers on a makeshift wall in her home. Lacking formal schooling options, she created this humble classroom to ensure her children learned to read and count amidst the poverty of the Great Depression. Afghanistan, 1988. A Mujahideen fighter aims a newly acquired American Stinger missile at a passing Soviet aircraft. The introduction of these shoulder-fired weapons shifted the balance of power, forcing the Soviet Union to rethink its air superiority strategy. Warsaw, Poland, 1944. Irina Sendler stands defiant amidst the ruins of war as a member of the resistance. She risked execution to smuggle thousands of Jewish children out of the ghetto, saving them from the Holocaust through secret networks. Arkansas, 1931. 18-year-old Helen Spence stares down the camera in her booking photo after avenging her father's murder. She became a local legend for her vigilantism, eventually inspiring the character of Maddie Ross in the novel True Grit. California, 1978. 15-year-old Mary Vincent poses with unbroken spirit after surviving a nightmare. Attacked and dismembered by a serial killer, she climbed a 30-foot cliff with mud-packed wounds to find help, proving an impossible will to live. Mississippi, 1966. James Meredith, the first black student at the University of Mississippi, writhes in pain after being shot during his solitary march against fear. His attempt to encourage voting rights turned into a rallying cry for the civil rights movement. Baku, Azerbaijan, 1910. A young Joseph Stalin stares coldly from his booking photo at Bylov prison long before he became the Soviet dictator. He was a revolutionary agitator, spending time in Tsarist jails for organizing strikes and spreading propaganda. Hong Kong, 1989. Action star Jackie Chan performs at a benefit concert, standing in solidarity with the student protesters in Tiananmen Square. He used his fame to raise funds and global awareness for the democracy movement in mainland China. Canada, 1950s, Indigenous children kneel in prayer at a government-run residential school, stripped of their culture and language. These students were subjected to forced assimilation in a system designed to erase their heritage, leaving generational scars. Pittsburgh, 1969. While racial segregation persists at swimming pools across America, Fred Rogers invites Officer Clemens to cool his feet in a plastic pool. This simple televised act of sharing water quietly dismantled a color barrier for millions of viewers. Hollywood, 1920s, Louise Brooks poses with her iconic bobbed haircut, defining the flapper generation. Her sharp wit and rebellious style revolutionized cinema fashion, making her a timeless symbol of the jazz ages, liberation, and modern femininity. Red Sea, 1963, oceanographer Jacques Cousteau peers out from his submersible during the Conch II expedition living underwater. For a month, his team proved humans could inhabit the ocean floor, paving the way for modern deep-sea exploration. USA, 1900s, a group of young women pose on the beach in what were considered daring swimsuits for the era. As social norms began to shift, these fitted wool garments marked the beginning of a revolution in women's beachwear. Tehran, 1979, university students cheer while holding a portrait of Ayatollah Khomeini, celebrating the success of the Islamic Revolution. They marked the end of the monarchy and the beginning of a theocratic republic that would reshape global politics. Edinburgh, Texas, 1939. A young migrant worker's son stands in his temporary home, captured by photographer Russell Lee. The boy's weary expression reflects the harsh realities and instability faced by agricultural families traveling across America during the Great Depression. Los Angeles, 1990s, Matthew Perry smiles during the height of his fame on Friends, known for his impeccable comedic timing and vulnerability. He brought laughter to millions while privately battling addiction, leaving behind a legacy of humor and advocacy. Athens, 1896. Spyros Lewis, a humble water carrier, stands proudly in traditional Greek dress with no formal training. He won the first marathon of the modern Olympics, becoming a national hero and connecting the modern games to ancient history. Hollywood, 1928. Conrad Veidt portrays the tragic character Gwynplaine. In The Man Who Laughs, his permanent grotesque grin and haunting performance in this silent film would later serve as the direct visual inspiration for the comic book villain, the Joker. New York City, 1926. Children scramble over towering metal playground structures without a safety mat in sight. This candid moment captures the rough and tumble nature of urban childhood before modern safety regulations changed the landscape of play. Mongolia, 1240, at this iron paisa served as an imperial passport for Kublai Khan's messengers inscribed with a death threat for those who disobeyed it, granted safe passage across the vast Mongol Empire, facilitating the first global communication network. Windsor Castle, 1940, a 14-year-old princess. Elizabeth, joined by her sister Margaret, speaks into a microphone. In her first public broadcast, she offered comfort to evacuated children separated from their families during the height of the Blitz. Germany, 1906. Kaiser Wilhelm II stands alongside a young Winston Churchill at a military demonstration 8 years before they would lead their respective nations on opposing sides of World War I. These two historical giants observed maneuvers together. Poznan, Poland, 2026. A split view reveals the city's dramatic transformation from the rubble-strewn streets of 1946 following World War II devastation to the vibrant modern architecture of today. The city stands as a testament to resilience and reconstruction. USA, 1944, fresh off the assembly line, F-4U Corsairs and F-6F Hellcats sit on the tarmac. These powerful fighter planes are being prepped for shipment to the Pacific Theater, where they will prove decisive in the air war against Japan. Germany, 1963, a Lufthansa flight attendant pours draft beer directly from a wooden keg for passengers. This golden age of air travel prioritized luxury and service offering, fresh ham and tapped brew at 30,000 feet. Essen, Germany, 1920s. A massive 15,000-ton steam hydraulic press operates in the Krupp workshops. This industrial titan forged the steel components that built modern infrastructure, symbolizing the sheer scale of German engineering between the wars. Greenland, 1890s. Inside an igloo, an Inuit man warms his wife's feet against his skin, photographed by explorer Robert Peary. This intimate moment reveals the tenderness and survival strategies required to endure the harsh Arctic climate. SA 1950s, a room full of draftsmen lean over large tables drawing maps by hand before computers. These engineers used pencils and slide rules to create precise topographical layouts where a single ink spill meant starting the entire project over. East Africa, 1907. A British blacksmith uses a hammer and chisel to remove heavy leg irons from a liberated slave. This powerful image captures the literal moment of emancipation as the colonial administration enforced the abolition of the trade. Hollywood, 1973. Native American activist Sachin Littlefeather stands on the Oscar stage sent by Marlon Brando to refuse his Best Actor award. She utilized the global broadcast to protest the film industry's mistreatment and stereotypical portrayal of indigenous people. Hollywood, 1939. Dorothy and her friends sleep in a field of poppies covered in falling snow. Unbeknownst to the cast, this fake snow was made of pure industrial-grade asbestos, exposing them to a deadly carcinogen in the name of movie magic. London, 1900s. Mary Ann Bevan poses for a circus portrait suffering from acromegaly and widowed with children to feed. She endured the humiliating title of the world's ugliest woman, sacrificing her dignity to ensure her family's survival. Japan, 1866. A mother carries her child on her back in traditional dress captured just before the Meiji Restoration modernized the nation. This colorized photograph preserves the timeless bond of family amidst the fading lifestyle of old Edo. Houston, Texas, 1954. A suburban family poses proudly with their backyard survival kit, surrounded by canned food and water. Their preparation highlights the pervasive anxiety of the Cold War era, where the threat of atomic annihilation was a daily reality. Tunisia, 1976. Director George Lucas stands with a young Mark Hamill in the desert heat, filming the first Star Wars movie. They battled equipment malfunctions and sandstorms, unaware they were creating a space opera that would redefine pop culture. Athens, Greece, 2024. A comparison of the city skyline reveals a century and a half of growth, while the ancient Acropolis remains a constant sentinel. The small, dusty town of 1862 has expanded into a dense, sprawling modern metropolis. Suez Canal, 1944. The British battleship HMS Howe navigates the narrow waterway. On its way to join the Pacific Fleet, the massive warship towers over the desert banks, demonstrating the strategic importance of this canal during the Second World War. New York, 1974. Muhammad Ali points a finger at Joe Frazier during a heated weigh-in. Tensions boil over before their second bout, fueling the rivalry that would captivate the world and cement their status as boxing's greatest heavyweights. England, 1957. A man ingeniously uses a stick of wood to trigger his camera shutter long before the digital age. This playful moment captures perhaps the world's first selfie stick, proving human vanity and innovation go hand in hand. Cottbus, Germany, 1975. A Soviet MiG-21 fighter jet lies embedded in an apartment complex after a catastrophic collision. The pilot sacrificed his life to steer away from a school, yet the crash still claimed civilian lives in this tragic Cold War accident. Washington, D.C., 1963. 3-year-old John F. Kennedy Jr. raises his hand in a salute as his father's casket passes by on his own 3rd birthday this heartbreaking gesture became the enduring symbol of a nation mourning its fallen president. Moscow, 1990. An elderly woman tastes a hamburger at the opening of the Soviet Union's first McDonald's as the Iron Curtain crumbled. Thousands lined up for hours to taste Western fast food, symbolizing the dawn of a new era. Beijing, 1989. A lone protester stands defiant before a column of tanks leaving Tiananmen Square, carrying only shopping bags. This unidentified man became a global icon of peaceful resistance against authoritarian power, though his fate remains unknown. Tasman Sea, 2007. This haunting self-portrait is the final image of adventurer Andrew Macaulay attempting to kayak solo from Australia to New Zealand. He vanished just 30 kilometers from shore, leaving behind only this photo and a recovered vessel. Auschwitz, Poland, 1942. 14-year-old Czesława Kwoka stares into the lens moments after being beaten by a guard captured by prisoner Wilhelm Brasa. Her cut lip and terrified eyes provide a harrowing testament to the brutality inflicted on Polish children. New York, 1969. The American side of Niagara Falls stands dry and silent. Army engineers dewatered the cataract to study erosion, revealing a rocky cliff face, usually hidden by millions of gallons of water, creating a surreal, once-in-a-lifetime landscape. Los Angeles, 1947. A model demonstrates a facial mask composed of plastic cubes filled with water and frozen, marketed as a beauty aid and hangover cure. This bizarre invention highlights the experimental and often eccentric nature of mid-century cosmetics. Milwaukee, 1914. William Harley and Arthur Davidson pose on their motorcycles from humble beginnings in a wooden shed. These pioneers engineered a machine that would become an American cultural icon, defining the spirit of freedom on the open road. London, 1940. A young boy sits calmly amidst the rubble of a bombed-out library, reading a history book during the Blitz. This scene of composure amidst destruction became a powerful symbol of British resilience and the refusal to let war disrupt daily life. Ashgabat, Turkmenistan, 1975. American model Jerry Hall poses in a swimsuit against a backdrop of Soviet Central Asia. This rare cultural crossover captures the surreal contrast between Western fashion and the stark closed society of the USSR during the Cold War. Berlin, 1945. A young Soviet soldier gazes at the charred remains of Hitler's bunker standing in the ruins of the Third Reich's nerve center. His expression reflects the exhaustion and finality of a war that claimed millions of lives across Europe. China date unknown locals gather for a high-stakes card game. On the street, oblivious to the camera, the players focus intensely on their hands, capturing a timeless scene of community and gambling that transcends specific eras or political regimes. Mexico City, 1986. Diego Maradona punches the ball past the English goalkeeper in the World Cup quarterfinals, dubbed the Hand of God. This controversial goal remains one of the most infamous moments in football history, leading Argentina to eventual victory. Portland, Oregon, 1905. The massive forestry building, constructed entirely of unpeeled Douglas fir logs, towers over visitors built for the Lewis and Clark Exposition. This wooden cathedral stood for decades until a fire tragically reduced it to ash in 1964. USA, 1862. A lineman scales a pole to repair a telegraph wire during the Civil War. These communication lines were vital arteries for military command, often sabotaged by enemy forces, making the repairman's job both crucial and incredibly dangerous. Western Front, 1914. A British airman leans out of his cockpit to drop a bomb by hand. In the early days of aerial warfare before sophisticated targeting systems, pilots relied on raw courage and gravity to attack enemy trenches below. Essay, 1920s. A flapper lifts her dress to receive a tattoo on her thigh, defying Victorian modesty. These women embraced jazz short skirts and body art symbolizing a radical shift in social norms and the liberation of the Roaring Twenties. Washington, D.C. 1932 photojournalist Dr. Eric Salomon hides a camera inside a fake cast on his arm by feigning injury. He captured the first forbidden image of the Supreme Court, in session, revolutionizing candid photography and exposing the halls of power. Omaha, Nebraska, 1899. A police officer holds burglary suspect Herbert Cochran in a tight headlock for his mugshot. Before standardized booking procedures, authorities used physical force to ensure uncooperative criminals stayed still for the camera, creating a crude portrait of justice. Moscow, 1933. Massive bombers fly in formation over Tushino Airfield during an aviation parade. These displays of aerial might were designed to showcase Soviet industrial progress and military power to both the terrified populace and the watching world. New York City, 1963. Commuters on a train bury their faces in newspapers, stunned by the headlines. The assassination of President Kennedy sent a shockwave through the nation, turning a mundane evening commute into a collective moment of grief and disbelief. Washington, D.C., 1952. A narcotics agent testifies in court wearing a bizarre hood and glasses to protect his identity from vengeful drug syndicates. The witness donned this theatrical disguise, highlighting the growing danger of the mid-century war on drugs. Germany, 1945. A smiling soldier from the U.S. 2nd Armored Division shows off looted Nazi memorabilia in the chaotic aftermath of victory troops often collected medals, silverware, and flags as trophies to prove they had dismantled the regime. Washington, D.C., 2022. A comparison reveals the evolution of the U.S. Capitol from its modest appearance in 1846 to the sprawling complex of today. The building has grown alongside the nation, witnessing nearly 2 centuries of democracy, protest, and history. Tsarskoye Selo, 1917. The fallen Tsar Nicholas II sits on a stump, guarded by the very soldiers he once commanded, stripped of his crown and freedom. This quiet moment captures the final days before the Romanov dynasty met its tragic end. Jerusalem, 1898. Kaiser Wilhelm II rides triumphantly into the Holy Land dressed in full imperial regalia. His grand tour was meant to project German power in the East, unaware that his ambitions would eventually set the world on fire. Mongolia, 1920s. A Khalkha noblewoman and her husband pose in elaborate traditional attire, their gravity-defying hairstyles sculpted with silver and coral. These stunning garments display their wealth and status, capturing a vibrant culture just before Soviet influence swept through the region. Washington, D.C., 1959. Fidel Castro stands contemplatively at the feet of Abraham Lincoln just months after the Cuban Revolution. In this rare moment of quiet diplomacy, the revolutionary leader pays fresh respect to the great emancipator before relations turned cold. Cly's present day, hidden deep within a German forest, lies a section of an ancient Roman road, untouched by time. These weathered stones once carried legions and traders across the empire, remaining perfectly preserved while the world changed around them. Amiens, 1918. A British soldier releases a carrier pigeon through a porthole in the side of a Mark V tank. Amidst the roar of battle, this tiny bird carries vital messages that radio technology could not yet guarantee to deliver. Iwo Jima, 1945. Amidst the carnage of the Pacific, a U.S. Marine offers a cigarette to a Japanese soldier buried up to his neck in sand. It is a fleeting moment of shared humanity between mortal enemies on the battlefield. Rochester, 1989. Former President Ronald Reagan waves to the crowd, revealing a partially shaved head just 1 week after brain surgery. At 78, his resilience shines through as he greets well-wishers, proving his spirit remains unbroken even after leaving office. New York City, 1912 and 2016, a century, separates these two views of Fifth Avenue. Yet the energy remains. Horse-drawn carriages have vanished, replaced by yellow taxis and skyscrapers, showing how the city that never sleeps has evolved over time. Valley of the Kings, 1922. The jackal god Anubis sits alert atop a shrine, guarding the treasury of Tutankhamun for 3 millennia. Howard Carter's flashlight reveals the gilded statue still watching over the boy king, just as the ancient priests intended. United States, early 2000s, a room glows with the heat of heavy court monitors and tangled cables during a classic LAN party before high-speed internet friends hauled massive rigs to basements to game together, shouting commands across the table. Stockport, 1983. 2 punk girls stroll through the town center, their mohawks and leather jackets defying the gray backdrop of everyday life. With rebellious style and bold attitude, they define a generation that refused to blend in with the crowd. England, 1927. A formal family photograph dissolves into laughter as a pig unexpectedly darts into the frame. In an era when smiling for photos was rare, this barnyard intruder broke the tension and captured a moment of genuine joy. Los Angeles, 1998. At 49, actress Pam Grier radiates confidence and elegance, proving that beauty is timeless. The icon of blaxploitation cinema reinvented herself for a new generation, starring in Jackie Brown and stealing every scene she graced. Los Angeles, 1952, Marilyn Monroe sits surrounded by a mountain of fan mail, reading words of adoration from strangers behind the glamour and the smiles. This quiet moment reveals the overwhelming connection she held with a world that couldn't get enough. Nashville, 1964. An 18-year-old Dolly Parton smiles beside her future husband, Carl Dean, long before the fame wigs and rhinestones. This candid snapshot captures the beginning of a love story that would outlast almost every other marriage in show business. Las Vegas, 1955. The neon lights of the desert are just beginning to bloom as the Strip takes shape. Classic cars cruise past the dunes and the Flamingo, marking the golden age when the mob and entertainers built a gambling empire. New York City, 1943. The brilliant inventor Nikola Tesla looks gaunt in his final photograph before dying alone in a hotel room. Once the man who electrified the world, he passed away, penniless, leaving behind a legacy that would only be fully appreciated decades later. Hollywood 1953 model Vicki Dugan turns heads with her signature backless dress, a daring style that earned her the nickname The Back. Her provocative fashion sense challenged the conservative norms of the 50s and reportedly inspired the cartoon character Jessica Rabbit. Burbank, 1940s from the air. This looks like a sleepy rural town, but underneath the fake houses and trees lies a massive aircraft factory. Army engineers built this elaborate camouflage to hide the Lockheed plant from potential Japanese bombers during the war. Switzerland, 1957, a family carefully picks pasta from a tree in a broadcast that fooled a nation. The BBC April Fool's prank convinced millions that spaghetti grew on branches, proving that even in a serious era, people were ready to believe the impossible. The Netherlands, 1910s, a woman braces against the rope, using her entire body weight to tow a heavy canal boat, while windmills turn in the distance. This grueling labor highlights the physical strength required for daily life before engines took over the waterways. Thuringia, 1945, American soldiers stand in awe before sacks of gold bullion and stolen art hidden deep within a salt mine as the Third Reich collapsed. The Nazis stashed their plundered loot here, only for it to be uncovered by advancing Allied forces. United States, C-1920, a man demonstrates the original telephone prototype created by Alexander Graham Bell. This bulky, strange-looking apparatus sparked a communication revolution, shrinking the world and allowing human voices to travel across wires for the very first time. Soviet Union, 1941 and 1945. Two portraits of the same soldier show a horrifying transformation. The first shows a fresh-faced artist, while the second reveals a man aged by decades in just 4 years, his eyes haunted by the unfathomable trauma of the Eastern Front. Baltimore, 1920. A young boy proudly poses on a bicycle built from scrap wood and spare wheels, with no money for a store-bought toy. His ingenuity created a ride that proves childhood imagination can thrive even in the toughest of city streets. California, 1936. A 32-year-old mother holds her children close, her face etched with the worry of the Great Depression captured by Dorothea Lange. This image became the defining symbol of struggle and endurance for a generation facing poverty and dust storms. California, 1977. A young Arnold Schwarzenegger flexes in the sun during the filming of Pumping Iron before he was a movie star or a governor. He was the undisputed king of bodybuilding, bringing the sport into the mainstream with charisma and muscle. England, 1890s. A Victorian couple breaks the strict rules of photography by bursting into uncontrollable laughter, blurring the image. Their genuine joy cuts through the stiff formality of the era, showing us that people back then were just as human as we are. Paris, 1950. Women stand behind a curtain revealing only their legs to be judged by a panel of men. This bizarre beauty contest focused entirely on ankles and calves, reflecting the playful yet objectifying standards of mid-century entertainment in France. Los Angeles, 1957. Hollywood bombshell Jane Mansfield poses in her backyard, surrounded by an overload of animal print and kitsch. Her carefully crafted persona combined glamour with camp, making her one of the most photographed and talked about stars of the decade. London, 1963. A friendly milkman stops his rounds to feel the muscle of a proud little boy in a time when daily deliveries were the norm. This sweet interaction captures the trust and community spirit that existed on neighborhood streets. Chamonix, 1944. Legendary climber Gaston Rebuffat scales a vertical rock face defying gravity with minimal gear. Even as war raged across Europe, he sought freedom in the high Alps, pushing the limits of mountaineering and inspiring generations of climbers to come. San Francisco, 1906. Residents of Folsom Street watch as smoke billows from the ruins of their city. The Great Earthquake and subsequent fires flattened neighborhoods, leaving thousands homeless and forcing the city to rebuild itself from the ashes of one of America's worst disasters. Paris, 1895. A steam locomotive hangs precariously from the station wall, having crashed through the buffer stop and onto the street below. This surreal accident became famous for its absurdity, miraculously killing only one person despite the massive destruction. Vietnam, 1963. An American jet unleashes napalm over the jungle, turning the landscape into a fireball, captured by Larry Burroughs. This terrifying image exposes the brutal and incendiary nature of the war that devastated the Vietnamese countryside and population. Istanbul, present day, resting in the Topkapi Palace, is one of the oldest Quran manuscripts in existence, attributed to Caliph Uthman. Written on gazelle skin in the 7th century, this sacred text connects the modern world directly to the earliest days of Islamic history. Hollywood, 1966. Adam West and Burt Ward suit up as Batman and Robin, standing ready for action. The colorful, campy TV show brought comic books to life, turning the dynamic duo into pop culture icons who fought crime with a side of humor. United States, present day. A single photograph captures the complex duality of the nation, juxtaposing modern progress with lingering struggles. It serves as a visual metaphor for a country constantly wrestling with its identity, summing up the current cultural climate in one frame. Tasmania, 1930. A family of thylacines paces in their enclosure, unaware they are among the last of their kind. These striped marsupials were hunted to extinction, and just 6 years after this photo, the species vanished from the earth forever. Union City, 1941. From across the river, the Empire State Building stands solitary and colossal amidst a hazy horizon before the skyline became crowded with glass giants. This limestone monolith reigned supreme as the undisputed symbol of American ambition. Edinburgh, 1920s. A rare aerial view captures the ancient city from a dizzying new perspective taken when aviation photography was in its infancy. This grainy shot reveals the sprawling layout of the Scottish capital before modern development changed its face. San Francisco, 1934. Steel cables stretch across the foggy strait as the Golden Gate Bridge begins to take shape. Workers balance precariously on the rising towers, piecing together the vibrant orange landmark that would soon connect the city to the north. Iwo Jima, 1945. Marines of the 5th Division inch up the volcanic slopes of Mount Suribachi, engulfed in the choking smoke of battle. Every step on this black sand is a fight for survival against a deeply entrenched and unseen enemy. Leningrad, 1942. Gaunt citizens traverse the frozen streets during the grueling siege that lasted nearly 900 days. With food, supplies cut off, and winter setting in sheer determination is the only thing keeping these survivors alive in a starving city. Lingayen Gulf, 1945. The battleship USS Pennsylvania leads a formidable column of warships into Philippine waters, veterans of a long naval war. These steel giants steam in formation to support the liberation forces, their guns ready to thunder against the shore. Brazil, 1986. Thousands of men swarm the mud-slicked walls of the Serra Pelada mine, resembling ants in a vast pit driven by gold fever. These workers carry heavy sacks of earth up rickety ladders, hoping to strike it rich in this chaotic inferno. Athens, 1895. A young boy rests casually on an ancient tomb in the Kerameikos Cemetery, bridging the gap between the living and the dead, surrounded by millennia of history. He sits unaware that he is posing amidst the ruins of a civilization that shaped the world. Washington, D.C., 1971. Vietnam veteran John Kerry speaks into a cluster of microphones, his voice amplifying the growing anti-war sentiment, representing thousands of disillusioned soldiers. He challenges the government's narrative, marking a turning point where warriors turned against the war itself. Stuttgart, 1930s, and present. A haunting comparison reveals the market square before and after the devastation of war. The historic timbered buildings of the past were wiped away by bombs replaced today by modern structures that stand on the scars of a lost architectural heritage. Was, 1917. French women harness themselves to a heavy plow, taking the place of horses and men claimed by the Great War. With the fields needing to be tilled, they shoulder the burden to feed a nation fighting for its very survival. Moscow, 1980s. Soviet programmer Alexei Pajitnov sits at his computer finalizing the code for a puzzle game involving falling blocks. He had no idea this simple experiment named Tetris would breach the Iron Curtain and become one of the most addictive video games in history. Missouri, 1930s. A young girl stares into the camera with eyes that have seen too much hardship for her age. The Great Depression stripped away her childhood innocence, leaving behind a portrait of resilience amidst the dust and poverty of rural America. New York, 1946. A police officer writes a ticket for a woman at Rockaway Beach, citing her swimsuit as indecent exposure. This strict enforcement of modesty laws highlights the conservative moral code that dictated women's fashion just before the cultural revolutions of the coming decades. North Dakota, 1966. A utility pole is barely visible, buried nearly to the top in a massive drift of snow. This historic blizzard paralyzed the region for days, transforming the familiar landscape into a featureless white desert that trapped residents in their homes. Majorca, 1980s. Young princes William and Harry share a relaxed summer moment with King Juan Carlos of Spain, away from the rigid protocols of Buckingham Palace. This candid snapshot captures the royal brothers enjoying a rare childhood calm before the media storms of their adulthood. United States, c. 1850. A blind man in tinted glasses gently holds a cat in this hauntingly clear daguerreotype. The long exposure required him to sit perfectly still, preserving a touch and bond between man and animal that transcends the century and a half between us. Los Angeles, 1988. Nicolas Cage and Johnny Depp stand side by side, looking like quintessential 80s heartthrobs before they became global superstars with eccentric reputations. They were just two young actors navigating Hollywood, unaware of the iconic roles that lay ahead for both of them. Pompeii, 1st century. These bronze faucets preserved under volcanic ash look startlingly modern in their design. They reveal the advanced plumbing engineering of the Roman Empire, where running water was a luxury that abruptly stopped when Vesuvius buried the city in a single day. Vukovar, 1992. Santa Claus hands out gifts to children amidst the ruins of a war-torn city, even as shelling destroyed their homes during the Croatian War of Independence. This small act of normalcy brought a fleeting moment of magic to a childhood defined by conflict. New York City, 1910 and 2019. The majestic sunlit halls of the original Penn Station stand in stark contrast to the functional arena that replaced it. The demolition of this architectural masterpiece sparked the modern preservation movement, reminding the city of the beauty it foolishly destroyed. Cherbourg, 1944. American soldiers take a well-deserved break to inspect a cache of French wine found during the liberation, dusty and exhausted from combat. These GIs enjoy a brief taste of local culture before pushing forward into the heart of occupied Europe. Giza, 1924. British tourists pose atop camels in The Shadow of the Great Sphinx, capturing a classic travel memory. During the height of Egyptomania, travelers flocked to the pyramids, eager to experience the ancient wonders that had captivated the Western imagination. Paris, 1945. Curators carefully uncrate the Mona Lisa, welcoming her back to the Louvre after the war, hidden away in the countryside to protect her from Nazi looters and bombs. Her return symbolized the restoration of culture and peace to a liberated France. Vietnam, 1966. A young American soldier takes a moment to read a magazine in the humidity of the jungle, amidst the tension of patrol and the noise of war. This slice of life from home provides a temporary mental escape from the reality surrounding him. Morocco, 1959. A Berber woman gazes confidently at the camera, her face adorned with traditional tattoos. These geometric markings are not just decoration, but a language of identity, telling the story of her tribe and lineage in a rapidly modernizing world. United States, 1963. Hugo Gernsback models his bizarre television eyeglasses, a bulky precursor to modern virtual reality, while the technology was impractical. At the time, his futuristic vision predicted a world where screens would eventually become personal wearable and always in front of our eyes. United States, 1970s. A pristine sofa sits encased in thick, clear plastic, preserving the fabric at the cost of comfort. This domestic quirk turned living rooms into museums where guests slid around on the crinkly covers, terrified of spilling a drink on the upholstery underneath. United States, 1950s. A housewife demonstrates a top-loading dishwasher that pops up from the kitchen counter. This space-age appliance promised to revolutionize chores, symbolizing the mid-century obsession with automation and the dream of a fully efficient modern home. United States, 1950. Rows of children lie immobilized inside mechanical iron lungs, the machines breathing for them. This terrifying scene underscores the horror of the polio epidemic, a nightmare that haunted families until the Salk vaccine finally brought relief just a few years later. Charlotte, 1957. 15-year-old Dorothy Counts walks tall as she enters Harry Harding High School, ignoring the jeering mob behind her. Her courageous first day of desegregation exposed the ugly face of racism. yet her dignity remained unshaken in the pursuit of education. Minnesota, 1922. The deeply lined face of Chief John Smith, known as White Wolf, tells the story of a century reputed to be 137 years old. His weathered features bear witness to the entire history of the United States expansion into the West. Kiev 1954 crowds march under banners celebrating the friendship between Russia and Ukraine. During a May Day parade, the slogan proclaims eternal unity, a sentiment that history would severely test as political shifts eventually turned these neighboring republics into bitter adversaries. London 1860s laborers scour the muddy foreshore of the Thames in Lambeth, seeking a livelihood before the embankment was built. This rare photograph preserves the gritty reality of the working class, freezing a moment of river life that vanished under stone and concrete. Argentina, 1928. A baby photo captures Ernesto Che Guevara, long before he donned a beret and rifle, born into a middle-class family. This infant would grow up to become the face of Marxist revolution, his image eventually plastered on walls and T-shirts across the globe. New York City, 1913. The Gothic spire of the Woolworth Building pierces the clouds, earning it the title of the Cathedral of Commerce as the tallest building in the world. At the time, it defined the early Manhattan skyline with its intricate terracotta detailing. Montana, 1883, a steam train creeps across the Morent Gulch Trestle, a spider web of timber soaring 200 feet above the valley floor. It was a marvel of engineering, though its wooden beams were soon replaced by iron to prevent the structure from going up in flames. Oklahoma City, 1939. A mother and daughter sift through a pile of crawfish at the Mays Avenue camp, preparing them for sale. As bait in the struggle of the Depression era, even small catches became a vital lifeline for families fighting to put food on the table. Ellis Island, 1905. An Italian child stares wide-eyed at the bustling chaos of the processing center. For millions like him, this hall was the golden door to America, where the hope for a new life outweighed the paralyzing fear of rejection. Oregon, 1893. Rugged loggers stand proudly beside the massive timber of the Pacific Northwest, armed with cross-cut saws and axes. These men powered a booming industry, risking life and limb to harvest the giants of the ancient forest. USA, 1905. An elderly man and two women stand solemnly beside the grave of Samilda Stump. The stone reveals she died at 46, awaiting the resurrection, a poignant reminder of mortality and the deep bonds of family and turn of the century, America. Los Angeles, 1984. Molly Ringwald poses for Vanity Fair just as her stardom explodes, captured by Sheila Metzner. This portrait immortalizes the teen queen of the 80s, whose films defined a generation of angst romance and coming of age. New York City, 1984. Harold Ramis shares a tender moment with his daughter Violet on the set of Ghostbusters while playing the brilliant Egon Spengler. He takes a break to be a dad, blending movie magic with real-life love. The Netherlands, 1963. A driver uses a roadside telephone to call a navigation hotline for directions long before GPS satellites orbited the Earth. This analog system was the cutting edge of travel guiding motorists through the winding Dutch roads. Say 1963. This mechanical marvel is the Keaton Music typewriter, designed to print sheet music with precision. It allowed composers to bypass handwritten scores, pressing notes onto paper with a circular keyboard in a rare blend of art and engineering. London, 1937. A toddler hangs suspended in a wire cage outside a high-rise apartment window intended to provide fresh air and sunlight to city children. These terrifying contraptions were briefly considered a healthy solution for urban families lacking garden space. France, 1927. A chauffeur stands beside the massive Bugatti Type 41 Royale Coupe Napoleon, one of the largest and most luxurious cars ever built. This 21-foot beast represented the absolute pinnacle of automotive excess and pre-war elegance. Germany, 1931. The silver Schienen Zeppelin roars down the tracks, propelled by a massive rear propeller. This experimental rail Zeppelin shattered speed records at 120 miles per hour, offering a futuristic glimpse of high-speed travel that never quite took off. Washington, D.C., 1913, attorney Inez Milholland sits atop a white horse, leading the women's suffrage parade, dressed in a cape. She became the stunning icon of the movement, courageously demanding the right to vote amidst a sea of spectators and skeptics. Bethel, New York, 1969. A sea of humanity stretches toward the horizon. At the Woodstock Festival, over 400,000 people gathered on this farm, creating a defining moment of peace, love, and music that became the cultural peak of the 60s.